My name is Angelina Stancampiano. I want to tell you about my Fantastical Forest in my own words. I was sent this grant from a colleague. It's from the National Environmental Education Foundation, and it was specifically for public lands that were negatively impacted by COVID. So these lands that saw increased record visitation, but decreased programming, and a lack of volunteers, staff who were out sick, and just this overwhelming burden of trying to reach people safely and in a new way. At first, I thought, how is my little 2,200 acre park in northeastern Oklahoma ever going to qualify for something like this? And then I thought, why not? When have I ever let that hold me back before? Why would my park not qualify? We've had record visitation. We've had all of these new visitors that we haven't had before, and we've definitely had a decrease in programming due to safety concerns and staff limitations. My initial thought, which was exactly what happened in the end, was to create a fantastical forest. How to create a whimsical and magical and accessible experience for all. How to provide something outdoors and linked so intrinsically to our native flora and fauna that are so fantastical without having to be dragons or unicorns. How do I bring out all types of people to feel equally included? Lucky for me, I had a boss who encouraged, inspired, and supported me. He said, yes, go ahead, apply for this grant. And we had just the place to do it. There is one ADA trail within the park. Out of 16 miles, 1/4 of a mile is accessible. I thought that trail should be the highlight of the park. If there is one trail that is universally accessible, why would that not be the best, the most exciting, the most beautiful, the most sought after? And so I set to do just that.
Down at the bottom of the garden, things may not be all that they seem. Could there be an enchanted land, a glimpse of a fairyland dream? Under the big old apple tree, do your eyes deceive? Oh, wait, may that be a fairy there? Maybe, if you believe. A miniature world hidden from view. Take a look in your garden once more. You may be surprised at what you can find. Magic secrets for you to explore. Hopping along the stepping stones, wondering where they might go. Is that a chimney peeping above? Those curious flowers that glow. Such charming homes for fairies to live, with colorful gardens of light. Further along is a beautiful stream with a bridge to reach the far side. A dinky park where the fairies can play with a seesaw, a swing, and a slide. Oh, toadstools grow amidst poppies, a spellbinding fairy ring. Humans, be careful not to disturb, to meet fairy magic within. And right there, under a mushroom, the glint of a magical gem. Are those Mummy's lost earrings? Mummy was looking for them. If one day you do see a fairy, be sure that you don't make a peep, for fairies don't like to feel startled at all and may not return till you sleep. For there, in the beauty of a small cave amongst the plants, a still, quiet place for daytime. But at night, oh, at night, come the fairies to dance. So, if you've some space in your backyard, make a garden a fairy delight. A small special site for fairies to play when they visit late at night.
Step one was maintenance man Bill painting in a handicap spot where none had been before, so that this ADA trail had an accessible handicap parking spot for people like Peter and his seeing eye dog Elroy, or Kitty, who had just had knee surgery, or Claire, who was in a wheelchair due to her MS diagnosis. I am no accessibility expert, but how was I ever going to impact anyone if I didn't start somewhere? I've done programming long enough to know that abilities come in all shapes and forms and sizes, and I wanted to impact as many people as possible. I wanted to take into account those with sensory issues, people who couldn't walk far due to injuries. I wanted to think about people with vision impairments, but I didn't want the trail to feel tailored or like it was part of this COVID bubble or that it was something different. I wanted it to be special for everyone equally. I put benches throughout, but they were beautiful benches that everyone wanted to sit on. I made the backdrop accessible, but everyone could use it. This area of the park is right by an RV dump station, not very scenic, and there was an old cinder block building there that really needed a facelift. Tony luckily allowed me to bring in a wonderful Oklahoma artist who donated her time and amazing talent to execute my vision of having a photo backdrop accessible to all. We depicted native flora and fauna and had the wings of the dragonfly positioned so that a person in a wheelchair could wheel up to the building and perfectly fit to have their picture captured just like anyone else's. We also included a lightweight bench that could be moved back and forth so that if someone wanted to come out of their wheelchair or their walker, or an older person who couldn't stand for a long time, or kids that couldn't sit still, could use the bench and be able to have that photo backdrop for them just as much as for anyone else. I was so incredibly lucky to work with our design shop with Scott Hendricks and artist Travis Bowles, who went above and beyond to make these images so beautiful. They're rhyming and whimsical, but also scientifically accurate. They're on a reading level that's accessible for all, and 4 lines, so they even work for short attention spans. The font is very legible and large. I did research to make sure that it was as accessible as possible. And you simply scan a QR code and have the sign read to you by a different Oklahoma voice.
They have fiddleheads that turn into
Fawns, young born of deer. They indicate the time of year. Laying in the grass, hidden by spots. Leave them alone. Their mother is on watch.
These signs were placed low to the ground so that they were on eye level for those in wheelchairs as well as those younger folk. And they were also on pallets. So another big thing is, how do we make it sustainable? How do we have this project that's not just creating more trash? So we used pallets left over in the maintenance yard, and we scavenged from the burn pile for wood that we used throughout the exhibit. Oh, and did I mention that the entire thing was solar and wind powered? No batteries or electricity needed. I didn't allow any glitter or styrofoam to be used in the project. And we used a lot of old things like lawn ornaments and a chandelier. We used satellite dishes and old spools to be the base for a lot of our mini homes and cleaned out a lot of craft closets. The fabric that we used in garlands were old sheets that had tears and could no longer be used, so we repurposed them. In addition to artist Becca West, I had all kinds of amazing volunteers and artists who lent me their creative imaginations. I had a local clay artist, Dawn Neal, make the most perfect entire gnome village. My mom used found objects to make little miniature fairy forests. Videographer Ryan West came and captured everything that we were doing and made it look even more beautiful and magical through his lens. I had my fantastic camp host, the Sandwicks, help in every way, shape, and form, as well as camp hosts Cindy and Scott, who went through the exhibit every morning and made sure everything looked perfect. I teamed up with a local Girl Scout troop in Tahlequah who did an amazing amount of work to help make miniatures, as well as putting it all out and helping to pick it up. I had my great regular volunteers who put together my arbors and put together solar lights, as well as even a volunteer who contacted me via email wanting to help from afar. She put together yards and yards of garland that we were able to hang across the trail in the trees. Never having stepped foot on our site, she made it all at home and mailed it to us to be part of the project. As you all know, $2,000 is not a lot of money. I ran out of funds and steam pretty quickly. But I had a dream to make a quarter-mile guided line for the visually impaired, and that initial colleague who sent me this grant opportunity went above and beyond, gathering volunteers and extra donations to make that dream a reality. Then a handful of Sequoia staff helped me by cementing in every piece of rebar. So supervisors, this is for you. You don't always have to say yes, but you also don't always have to say no. None of this would have been possible if I didn't have Tony telling me, yes, I could apply for this grant when many others said no. I had dozens of fantastic volunteers who this project would not have been possible without. However, as it is brag night, I'll brag on my former boss. I didn't need him to wear a tutu. I just needed him to not try to rein me in or tell me I was too big for my britches. He supported me in many ways behind the scenes. None of this magic would have been possible without him saying yes.